The Moon Marks Return. Chapter 1. The Crescent of Grief. The salty air of coastal North Carolina, thick with the scent of pine and ocean spray, always brought a bittersweet ache to Eloise's heart. Her home, a weathered two-story house with a wide porch overlooking the Atlantic, was steeped in memories, both joyous and profoundly sorrowful. At 70, Eloise carried the quiet wisdom of age, but her eyes still held the distant echo of a grief that had never truly healed. Her younger sister Lila was that grief. Lila, vibrant and ethereal, with a spirit as untamed as the ocean itself, had been Eloise's other half. They had been inseparable. Two girls growing up on these very shores in the 1960s and 70s. Lila was known for her infectious laughter, her uncanny intuition, and her deep, almost spiritual connection to the sea. But more than anything, Lila was known for her unique birthmark, a perfectly formed, pale crescent moon etched into the soft skin of her left inner wrist. It was her signature, her mystical emblem. Then tragedy struck. Lila was just 16 when a sudden violent squall descended upon the coast. She was out sailing, a solitary adventure she loved, and the storm swept her away. Her boat was found, battered and empty, washed ashore days later. Lila's body was never recovered, swallowed by the unforgiving depths of the Atlantic. The family, particularly their stoic parents, never truly spoke of her after that. Her name became a silent prayer, a raw wound, a painful reminder of a life snatched too soon. Eloise carried that silence, that unanswered sorrow, like a heavy anchor in her soul for decades. Eloise's daughter, Stella, now in her early 30s, was a pragmatic woman, grounded in the tangible world. She had grown up hearing fragmented stories of the lost Aunt Lila, but the tragedy was a historical fact, not a living ache for her. Stella, a busy working mother, was about to bring new life into the world, a beacon of hope for the family. The day Stella gave birth was a whirlwind of anticipation and joy. Eloise rushed to the hospital, her heart swelling with emotion at the thought of meeting her new grandchild. Stella lay in the hospital bed, exhausted but radiant, holding a tiny bundle in her arms. "Mom," Stella whispered, her voice hoarse, "meet Luna." Eloise leaned over the crib, her gaze falling upon the tiny, perfect face of her granddaughter. Luna's skin was soft, delicate, and then Eloise saw it. A faint, perfectly formed, pale crescent moon birthmark etched into the soft skin of Luna's left inner wrist. Exactly where Lila's had been, exactly the same shape, the same size, the same distinctive mark. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. The air left Eloise's lungs in a silent gasp. Shock, cold and visceral, gripped her. This wasn't just a coincidence. This was impossible. This was a sign. Her mind reeled, tumbling through decades of suppressed grief and quiet yearning. Lila. It had to be Lila. Her beloved sister, lost to the sea so long ago, had somehow, miraculously, returned. The crescent of grief had returned, not as a symbol of loss, but as a mystical emblem of a soul's enduring journey. The silent belief she had carried for so long, that spirits could transcend earthly bounds, had just taken on a tangible, miraculous form. Chapter 2. Whispers of the Past. The sight of the crescent moon birthmark on Luna's tiny wrist sent a jolt of profound, mystical conviction through Eloise. It wasn't just a coincidence, it was a revelation. Her sister, Lila, had returned. This wasn't a belief born of wishful thinking. It was a deep, undeniable knowing that settled in her bones. Stella, observing her mother's stunned silence, mistook it for pure awe. "Isn't it beautiful, Mom? It's so unique." Eloise could only nod, her throat tight with unshed tears and a burgeoning sense of wonder. She gently touched Luna's wrist, tracing the delicate curve of the birthmark, a tremor running through her fingertips. The infant stirred, her tiny fingers curling around Eloise's. In the days that followed, Eloise became an avid, almost obsessive observer of Luna. She noticed things that Stella, in her exhaustion and pragmatic view, dismissed as typical baby behavior. Luna, from her earliest days, seemed unnaturally drawn to the ocean. When her stroller was pushed near the shore, her fussing would instantly cease, her eyes wide, fixed on the waves. She would gurgle contentedly, a profound peace settling over her. This was unusual for a newborn, most of whom were overwhelmed by loud sounds and vast spaces. Lila, too, had possessed an almost magnetic pull towards the sea. Eloise, filled with a renewed sense of purpose, began a quiet pilgrimage into her past. She unearthed old photo albums, their pages brittle with age. There, amongst faded snapshots of childhood summers, were countless images of Lila. Her bright smile, her untamed spirit, and always, on her left wrist, the distinct crescent moon. She found old Super 8 home movies, the grainy footage showing Lila skipping along the beach, her laughter echoing, her hand instinctively reaching for the ocean. She tried to share her revelations with Stella. "Stella, don't you see? The birthmark, her love for the sea, it's Lila." Stella, though patient, was firm. "Mom, I know you miss Aunt Lila, and it's a beautiful coincidence, but birthmarks happen. And most babies like soothing sounds like the ocean. It's just a baby, Mom. Luna, my daughter." She glanced at her mother with a worried frown. "You've been through a lot. Maybe you're just projecting your grief." Dr. Bennett, Luna's pediatrician, confirmed that birthmarks were random and unique. But Eloise couldn't be swayed. The conviction was too strong, too real. She remembered the old wooden chest in the attic, locked and forgotten after Lila's death. Her parents, in their grief, had packed away all of Lila's belongings, sealing them away as if to erase her very existence. One dusty afternoon, Eloise climbed into the attic, the air thick with the scent of aged wood and forgotten memories. She found the chest, covered by a moth-eaten blanket. The lock was rusted, but she found an old key tucked away in a hidden compartment of her mother's sewing box. Inside, carefully preserved, lay Lila's world, a collection of seashell necklaces. A worn copy of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, a small, hand-carved wooden dolphin, and beneath it all, a worn leather-bound journal, Lila's diary. Eloise carefully opened the journal, her fingers trembling. Lila's youthful script filled the pages, vibrant and alive. She wrote of her dreams, her fears, her love for the ocean. But then, Eloise's eyes caught a specific entry, dated just weeks before Lila's disappearance. "Sometimes," Lila had written, "I feel like I've lived before, like I know things I shouldn't. Old souls," Mama always said. Perhaps I am an old soul, waiting to return to the place I truly belong." The words sent shivers down Eloise's spine. Old souls waiting to return. It was a whisper from the past, a confirmation of her deepest intuition. The digital ghost of her family's past had truly awakened, not on a screen, but in the echoes of a lost life and a miraculous birthmark. The whispers of the past were growing louder, promising to unravel the very fabric of reality. Chapter 3: The Echo in the Cradle. The discovery of Lila's journal, particularly the entry about old souls and a sense of having lived before, solidified Eloise's conviction. This wasn't just a birthmark and a shared love for the ocean. This was a soul-deep resonance. She devoured the diary, each page a window into Lila's brilliant, often melancholic mind. Lila wrote of vivid, almost prophetic dreams, of knowing things she had no right to know, and of a profound sense of longing for a place she truly belonged, a place that felt familiar, even though she'd never seen it. As Luna grew from an infant into a curious toddler, Eloise continued to observe her with a heightened sense of awareness. The coincidences, once subtle, grew more pronounced, more unnerving, making even Stella pause. One afternoon, while Eloise played old folk songs on a record player, tunes Lila had loved, rarely heard now, Luna, usually restless, became mesmerized. She would sway to the rhythm, her tiny hands clapping in perfect time, her face alight with an inexplicable joy. One particular melody, a haunting sea shanty that was Lila's absolute favorite, brought tears to Luna's eyes, a profound sadness that seemed beyond her years. "Mom," Stella finally admitted, a tremor in her voice. "How does she know these songs? I've never played them for her. They're ancient." Then came the more unsettling revelations. Lila, as a child, had an irrational fear of specific, high-pitched ship sirens, the kind used by very old tugboats that passed their coast. One day, a vintage tugboat passed by their house, its distinctive siren wailing. Luna, playing happily, instantly erupted into inconsolable screams, burying her face in Eloise's shoulder, trembling with a terror that seemed utterly disproportionate to the sound. Yet, conversely, Luna was inexplicably drawn to dolphins. She would shriek with delight at their sight, trying to reach out to them in the water, a pure, unadulterated joy that mirrored Lila's own fascination. Eloise decided to confide in Marilyn, an old family friend who had known both sisters intimately. Marilyn, a gentle woman with a touch of the mystical about her, listened intently as Eloise recounted the tale of the birthmark, the journal, and Luna's strange reactions. Marilyn's eyes welled up. "Lila always said she felt like she had been here before," Marilyn whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "She had an old soul. And that birthmark, it was so unique. My goodness, Eloise. It sounds like she's found her way back." Marilyn recounted personal anecdotes of Lila's uncanny intuition, her premonitions that often proved chillingly accurate, and her deep, unexplainable connection to certain old objects and places. This validation, coming from someone who had known Lila so well, strengthened Eloise's resolve. She realized she couldn't simply dismiss these signs as coincidence. She was living a profound mystery, and she needed to understand it. In Lila's journal, Eloise found a detailed sketch of a hidden cove, tucked away along their coastline, a place Lila called her secret thinking spot. Eloise had never known of this place. The drawing was intricate, showing a specific rock formation and a unique cluster of ancient cypress trees. One blustery afternoon, while driving along the coast, Luna, strapped in her car seat, suddenly pointed excitedly out the window. "There! There!" She shrieked, her tiny finger pointing directly at the hidden cove, a place unseen from the main road, perfectly matching Lila's sketch. Stella, driving, nearly swerved, her eyes wide with a mixture of shock and dawning apprehension. Luna, a 2-year-old, couldn't possibly have known that place. The echo in the cradle was no longer a whisper. It was a clear, undeniable resonance, a living, breathing testament to a soul that had seemingly transcended time. The practical Stella was beginning to crack under the weight of the inexplicable. Chapter 4: The Professor's Hypothesis. The undeniable, growing string of coincidences surrounding Luna and Lila began to chip away at Stella's steadfast skepticism. The specific reactions to the old songs, the inexplicable fear of the vintage tugboat siren, the uncanny recognition of Lila's hidden cove, these were no longer easily dismissed as mere chance. Stella, though still rational, found herself battling a profound unease, a gnawing uncertainty about the very fabric of reality. "Mom," Stella confessed one evening, her voice barely a whisper, "I don't know what to think anymore." It's too much. It feels like she knows things she shouldn't." She looked at Luna, now sleeping peacefully, her crescent moon birthmark faintly visible on her wrist. "What does it mean?" Eloise, having endured decades of similar dismissals, responded with gentle understanding. "It means we have to listen, Stella. We have to be open." Driven by a need for intellectual understanding, Evelyn, with Stella's reluctant agreement, sought out Professor Arthur Finch, a renowned scholar of unexplained phenomena and consciousness studies. Professor Finch, based at a prestigious university, was known for his balanced approach, exploring the boundaries of science and spirituality. He listened patiently as Eloise recounted the story of Lila, the birthmark, the journal, and Luna's uncanny coincidences. He meticulously reviewed Lila's diary, scrutinizing her descriptions of prophetic dreams and old soul feelings. Professor Finch did not offer a definitive confirmation of reincarnation, stating that scientific proof remains elusive. However, he presented his hypothesis of soul imprints and energetic resonance. In many ancient cultures and spiritual traditions, Professor Finch explained, his voice calm and academic, the idea of a soul carrying memories or imprints from past lives is deeply ingrained. While modern science may not fully comprehend this, we cannot dismiss the profound psychological and emotional impact of such phenomena. A birthmark, particularly a unique one, could be seen as a physical marker, a calling card of the soul. The uncanny preferences, the inexplicable fears, the recognition of places or melodies, these could be echoes of memories, subtle energetic resonances from a previous existence. He continued, "The human consciousness is far more complex than we understand. It's possible that severe trauma, such as Lila's sudden passing, could leave a particularly strong imprint, leading to a more pronounced manifestation in a subsequent life. This isn't about one soul literally taking over another body, but rather a profound energetic connection, a thread of continuity." Professor Finch encouraged them to observe, to listen, and to provide Luna with a loving environment that acknowledged her unique connection to Lila. Without imposing expectations or fear, his academic yet open-minded perspective offered a strange comfort to Stella, providing a framework for understanding that didn't entirely contradict her rational mind. The search for more tangible evidence led Eloise to another profound discovery. In Lila's chest, tucked away in a hidden compartment at the very bottom, she found a small, beautifully carved wooden dolphin. It was intricately detailed, clearly handmade, and had a small, almost invisible inscription on its base. "To my future from the past." Lila had always loved dolphins, seeing them as spiritual guides of the sea. One afternoon, Eloise brought the dolphin to Luna. Luna, who rarely showed overt preference for toys, immediately reached for it, her eyes wide with an almost possessive joy. She clutched it to her chest, making soft, cooing sounds, her tiny fingers tracing the faint inscription. Then she did something truly remarkable. She held the dolphin up, turned it over, and pointed precisely to a tiny, almost imperceptible chip in the wood on its fin, a flaw only visible upon close inspection. "Ouch," she whispered, her tiny brow furrowing. Eloise froze. She knew that chip. Lila had accidentally dropped the dolphin shortly after finishing it, lamenting the tiny flaw. No one else would have known of that specific imperfection. Stella, who had walked in just as Luna pointed, stared at her daughter. Then at the dolphin, her face a mask of profound shock. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't projection. This was a direct, undeniable link to a past only Lila could have known. The professor's hypothesis, once a comforting theory, was now a living, breathing reality. The digital ghost was no longer just an echo. She was a vibrant, undeniable presence, a soul that had truly found its way home. Chapter 5: The Unspoken Bridge. The moment Luna pointed to the tiny, almost invisible chip on the wooden dolphin, a detail only Lila could have known, was the definitive crack in Stella's wall of skepticism. It was a profound, undeniable link that transcended rational explanation. The scientific framework provided by Professor Finch suddenly felt less like a theory and more like a gentle guide into an astonishing reality. Stella's initial fear of her mother's madness transformed into an awestruck acceptance, a deep, unsettling wonder. "Mom," Stella breathed, tears welling in her eyes. How could she know that? How? Eloise, her own eyes brimming, gently embraced her daughter. She remembers Stella. Not consciously, not yet perhaps, but her soul remembers. This shared understanding created an unspoken bridge between mother and daughter, a bond deepened by the extraordinary circumstances. They no longer spoke of coincidences, but of connections. They spent more time with Luna, not just as a beloved child, but as a living tapestry of past and present. They found that Luna seemed to understand things beyond her years, particularly when it came to their emotions. When Eloise felt a wave of sadness over Lila, Luna would gently pat her cheek as if offering comfort. The wooden dolphin became Luna's most cherished possession. She carried it everywhere, sleeping with it clutched in her small hand. It was a tangible link, a silent testament to the enduring presence of Lila. Eloise continued to delve into Lila's journal. She found an entry dated just a week before Lila's disappearance, detailing a vivid dream. Lila had dreamt of a specific, small, antique silver locket, shaped like a clam, which she believed held a secret. She described its intricate engraving, its tarnished chain, and stated that she had always wanted one, but had never seen it in real life. "It feels so familiar," Lila had written, "like it's waiting for me to find it." Eloise remembered a small, forgotten jewelry box in her mother's attic, left untouched for decades. She returned to the dusty attic, her heart pounding with a mixture of dread and anticipation. She found the box, nestled beneath old linens. Inside, amongst faded trinkets, lay a tarnished silver locket, perfectly shaped like a clam, with intricate engravings that matched Lila's description. It was cold to the touch, heavy with unspoken history. Evelyn brought the locket to Luna, who was now a vibrant 4-year-old. Luna's eyes widened at the sight of it. She reached out, her small fingers tracing the engravings, a look of profound recognition on her face. "My clam," she whispered, a familiar, almost wistful expression on her face. She then did something that sent chills down Stella's spine. She instinctively pressed a tiny, hidden clasp on the side of the locket, a clasp that was almost invisible, and the locket sprang open. Inside, it was empty. "It's empty," Luna said sadly, looking up at them. "Where's the light?" No one had ever known about that hidden clasp. It was a secret mechanism known only to the original jeweler and the owner of the locket, and Lila had never owned it. Yet Luna knew, and she spoke of a light that should be inside it, a reference to a small, glowing firefly charm that Lila had always wished to put inside a locket. Stella, now completely overwhelmed, sank to her knees, embracing Luna fiercely. "Oh, Mom," she sobbed, "it's her. It has to be her." The locket became the final, undeniable proof. It wasn't just a birthmark, or shared preferences, or a recognition of places. It was a direct, intuitive knowledge of a hidden object and its secret mechanism, a knowledge that could only have come from Lila. The unspoken bridge between souls had become a tangible reality, and the profound mystery of Luna's connection to Lila was now, for both Evelyn and Stella, an accepted, miraculous truth. The digital ghost was no longer just a faint echo. She was a beloved, vibrant presence, a living testament to love's enduring journey across the veils of time and space. Chapter 6, The Unfolding Canvas. With the locket's unveiling, any lingering doubt dissipated. Stella, once the staunch skeptic, became a fervent believer in the spiritual thread connecting Luna to Lila. The initial fear was replaced by a profound sense of awe and a tender protective instinct for Luna's unique soul. The grandmother, mother, and child formed a new, unbreakable bond, intertwined by this extraordinary, inexplicable reality. They learned to navigate this new truth with sensitivity. They didn't treat Luna as a mere vessel for Lila, but as a unique individual with an incredibly deep, almost mystical connection to her past self. They understood that Luna was not Lila reincarnated in a simplistic sense, but rather a soul carrying the profound imprints and memories of Lila's life. It was a subtle, complex form of reincarnation, guided by Professor Finch's energetic resonance hypothesis. Luna continued to display uncanny insights and preferences. She would often hum melodies that were distinctly Lila's, and her artistic leanings emerged early, her drawings strikingly similar in style and subject matter to Lila's childhood sketches, particularly her fascination with mermaids and sea creatures. She never expressed fear of the ocean, only an unbridled joy, reinforcing the connection to Lila's free spirit. Eloise, finally unburdened by decades of unresolved grief, found a profound peace. She often spoke to Luna about Lila, sharing stories of their childhood, showing her photographs, and reading from Lila's journal. Luna would listen intently, her eyes wide, sometimes nodding as if in recognition. It was a beautiful, ongoing conversation across the veil of time, a way of honoring Lila's legacy and nurturing Luna's unique connection. Stella, in turn, found herself opening up to the spiritual dimensions of life that she had always dismissed. She read books on reincarnation, attended talks, and engaged in deep conversations with her mother about the nature of the soul. Her pragmatism hadn't disappeared, but it was now balanced by a newfound wonder and a deep respect for the mysteries of existence. She saw Luna not just as her daughter, but as a testament to the enduring power of love and memory. The wooden dolphin and the silver locket became cherished family heirlooms, not just for their material value, but for the profound stories they held. They were tangible symbols of the unbroken thread between past and present, between Lila and Luna. One particularly significant moment occurred when Luna, at 5 years old, was learning to write. She spent hours meticulously copying words from a book. One day, she presented Eloise with a piece of paper. Scrawled in shaky, childish letters were 2 words: "Sail home." Eloise gasped. Lila had scrawled those exact words on a piece of driftwood she had carved just days before her disappearance, a private message to the ocean she so loved. It was a simple phrase, but for Eloise, it was another unequivocal sign, a direct echo from the depths of her sister's soul. The community, initially skeptical, began to hear snippets of the story, whispers of the Moonmark girl and her strange connection to the long-lost Lila. While not everyone believed in reincarnation, they couldn't deny the uncanny coincidences and the profound peace that had settled over the once grieving Eloise. The story became a local legend, a quiet testament to the enduring power of love and memory. The canvas of their lives, once marked by profound loss, was now unfolding into a vibrant, interconnected masterpiece. Eloise no longer mourned Lila's absence. She celebrated Luna's presence, knowing that in some wondrous, inexplicable way, her beloved sister had found her way back. The Moonmark was not just a birthmark. It was a cosmic signature, a promise of eternal connection. The digital ghost had not just returned. She had woven herself back into the fabric of their lives, bringing with her a legacy of enduring love, healing, and the boundless mystery of the soul. The circle of life, profound and mystical, had come full circle. Chapter 7, The Unwritten Epilogue. Years unfurled like a scroll, carrying Luna through childhood and into her formative teenage years. The crescent moon birthmark remained, a constant, gentle reminder of the extraordinary connection she shared with her great-aunt Lila. While Luna herself never claimed to consciously remember a past life, her personality, her innate talents, and her profound sensitivities echoed Lila's spirit in countless ways. Luna possessed an uncanny artistic talent, particularly with watercolors and charcoal, her preferred mediums mirroring Lila's own sketches. She had an almost spiritual connection to the ocean, spending hours by the shore, drawing inspiration from the waves, feeling a sense of deep belonging. She exhibited an unusual empathy, often seeming to know what others felt before they spoke it. A quiet intuition that bordered on precognition, much like Lila's premonitions. The wooden dolphin and the silver locket remained Luna's most treasured possessions. She kept them in a small velvet pouch, touching them often, as if drawing comfort or guidance from their shared history. She loved to hear stories of Aunt Lila, listening with an intensity that suggested a deeper understanding than mere childhood fascination. Eloise, now in her 80s, watched Luna with a heart full of gratitude and wonder. Her grief for Lila had transformed into a joyful acceptance, a profound understanding that love transcends the boundaries of life and death. The painful silence that had enveloped Lila's memory for so long was replaced by open conversations, shared stories, and a living tribute in Luna. Eloise knew that while the concept of reincarnation might defy scientific explanation, the profound healing and peace it had brought to her family were undeniably real. Stella, having fully embraced the mystical aspect of Luna's birth, became a champion for her daughter's unique spirit. She encouraged Luna's artistic pursuits, nurtured her connection to the ocean, and listened without judgment to her insights, however unusual. Stella understood that Luna was not just her daughter. She was a bridge, a living link to a past that had once been shrouded in sorrow. Their mother-daughter bond was incredibly strong, fortified by their shared, extraordinary journey. The family, once fragmented by unacknowledged grief, was now whole, stitched together by the threads of time, love, and a touch of the miraculous. The moon mark on Luna's wrist was more than just a physical trait. It was a symbol of enduring love, a cosmic signature of a soul's journey, a testament to the belief that some bonds are simply too strong for death to sever. The story of the moon mark's return became a cherished family legend, passed down through generations, a gentle reminder of the wonders that lie beyond human comprehension. It was a story not of loss, but of return, not of endings, but of continuations. One evening, as the crescent moon hung high over the North Carolina coast, casting a silver path across the ocean, Luna, now a young woman, stood by the window, sketching. She looked at her wrist, then at the moon in the sky. She felt a profound sense of peace, a quiet knowing that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Eloise watched her, a gentle smile on her face. The unwritten epilogue of Lila's life was being lived by Luna, a vibrant, unfolding canvas of a soul's eternal journey. The silent ghost had returned, bringing with her not just echoes of the past, but the promise of a future woven with threads of endless love and connection. The moon mark was a beacon, guiding them all home to a deeper understanding of life's profound mysteries.